So we're going to read this one for class. This is on page, I think we'll start on 452. This is the 9th census, speech delivered in the House of Representatives, December 16th, 1869. This is a book, The Works of James Garfield, James Abram Garfield, Volume 1. There's a picture of him there. Yeah, this is another book that's kind of fallen apart. It's one of the governor's favorite books, I think, because he put a sticker in it. Good, thank you. We are hoping, all we can do is hope and pray the proper authorities do what they can concerning that. I know it's very frustrating, believe me. There are others who are aware that get upset with me for not being more forceful. What's the point? And yeah, we're trying to shed a light on it, not shut it down, and that will shut it down. So thank goodness we're aware of that. Page 452. See, the American Census, a paper read before the American Social Science Association at New York, October 27th, 1869, by James A. Garfield, is substantially the same as the following speech. Here are the materials referred to below. Statistics are history in repose. History is statistics in motion. That is a quote from Schlosser, S-C-H-L-O-S-S-E-R, Schlosser, Schlosser. I like that. Statistics are history in repose. History is statistics in motion. It's all right. Mr. Speaker, the protracted and patient attention. Mr. Speaker, the protracted and patient attention which the House has given to this bill during the last 7 days is the best evidence that could be offered of the deep interest felt in the subject. And the fact that no leading feature of the bill has introduced by the committee has been changed by the House is a strong assurance that the House approves of the work of the committee. I now beg leave to present a brief review of the bill in its present shape as compared with the old law, and will also venture to ask the indulgence of the House in the presentation of some general considerations on the subject of the census as a leading instrument of modern civilization. In doing so, I shall take the liberty of using some materials which I have used elsewhere in discussing the general subject. The Celsius, yes, that's the strawberry, what is it? Not strawberry. Is it strawberry? Yeah, strawberry coconut. It's very good. The modern census is so closely related to the science of statistics that no general discussion of it is possible without considering the principles on which statistical science rests and the object which it proposes to reach. The science of statistics is of recent date and, like many of its sister sciences, owes its origin to the best and freest impulses of modern civilization. The enumerations of inhabitants and the appraisements of property made by some of the nations of antiquity were practical means employed sometimes to distribute political power, but more frequently to address the burdens of war. But no attempt was made among them to classify the facts obtained, so as to make them the basis of scientific induction. The thought of studying these facts to ascertain the wants of society had not then dawned on the human mind, and of course there was not a science of statistics in the modern sense. It is never easy to fix the precise date of the birth of any science, but we may safely say that statistics did not enter upon its scientific phase before 1749, when it received from Professor Akenwall of Göttingen not only its name, but the first comprehensive statement of its principles. Without pausing to trace the stages of its growth, some of the results of the cultivation of statistics in the spirit and methods of science may be stated as germane to this discussion. It has developed the truth that society is an organism whose elements and forces conform to have. It has developed the truth that society is an organism whose elements and forces conform to laws, has constant and pervasive have those which govern the material universe, and that the study of these laws will enable man to ameliorate his condition, to emancipate himself from the cruel dominion of superstition and from countless evils which were once thought beyond his control, and will make him the master rather than the slave of nature. Mankind have been slow to believe that order reigns in the universe, that the world is a cosmos and not a chaos. The assertion of the reign of law has been stubbornly resisted at every step. The divinities of heathen superstition still linger, in one form or another, in the faith of the ignorant. And even many intelligent men shrink from the contemplation of one's supreme will, acting regularly, not fortuitously, through laws beautiful and simple, rather than through a fitful and capricious providence. Lecky tells us that in the early ages it was believed that the motion of the heavenly bodies, as well as atmospheric changes, were affected by angels. In the Talmuds, a special angel was assigned to every star and every element, and similar notions were general throughout the Middle Ages. Like noticing when certain stars go directly over different patterns, and correlating that with seasons or weather. Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Sure. I absolutely understand what you're saying. I don't think that's crazy at all. I think that's totally rational. You're welcome. The scientific spirit has cast out the demons and presented with us nature, clothed in her right mind and living under the reign of law. It has given us, for the sorceries of the alchemist, the beautiful laws of chemistry, for the dreams of the astrologer, the sublime truths of astronomy, for the wild visions of cosmogony, for the wild visions of cosmogony, we'll put that on the crossword, the monumental records of geology, for the anarchy of diabolism, the laws of God. But more stubborn still has been the resistance to every attempt to assert the reign of law in the realm of society. In that struggle, statistics has been the handmaid of science, and has poured a flood of light upon the dark questions of famine and pestilence, ignorance and crime, disease and death. We no longer hope to predict the career and destiny of a human being by studying the conjunction of planets at the time of his birth, We study rather the laws of his life within him and the elements and forces of nature and society around him. We no longer attribute the untimely death of infants to the sin of Adam, but to bad nursing and ignorance. You can't blame it on Adam. We are beginning to acknowledge that. Ooh, this is a good saying. We should write this down. We'll put this one on the wall for tomorrow because we already had one for today. The fault yes. The fault, comma, dear Brutus, Brutus, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. That we are underlings. Put underlings on the crossword too, yeah? The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves that we are underlings. Men are only beginning to recognize these truths. In 1853, the Presbytery of Edinburgh petitioned the British ministry to appoint a day of national fasting and prayer in order to stay the ravages of cholera in Scotland. Cholera in Scotland. Lord Palmerston, the Home Secretary, replied in a letter which, a century before, no British statesman would have dared to write. He told the clergy of Scotland that the plague being already upon them, activity was preferable to humiliation. Put that on the board too. Activity was preferable to humiliation. The plague being already upon them, activity was preferable to humiliation. Is it okay if I mark in this book? No? Alright. Why not? 1882. Fine. The plague being already upon them, activity was preferable to humiliation. That the causes of disease should be removed by improving the abodes of the poor and cleansing them from the causes and the sources of contagion. Contagion. Oh, contagion. And sources of contagion, which, if followed to remain, will infallibly breed pestilence and be fruitful in death. In spite of all the prayers and fastings of a united but inactive nation, Henry Thomas Buckle expressed the belief that this letter would be quoted in future ages as a striking illustration of the progress of enlightened public opinion. I'll pause there. Hey. All right. Even his burps sound more mature. Yeah, did you write that one down? Good. We're ended there on page 454. And we can read more of that later. This is pretty good stuff, huh? On the methods of observation and reading in politics. We'll see if we can find one more cool quote. See if we here. Pages. Oh, this is the military commissions. Yeah, that's a good chapter. Any error in these particulars would render the whole proceedings illegal. In further vindication of my last proposition, I shall cite a few precedents from English and American history. A Lieutenant Fry, serving in the West Indies in 1743, on board the Oxford, a British man of war, was ordered by his superior officer to assist in arresting another officer and bringing him on board the ship as a prisoner. The lieutenant, doubting the legality of the order, demanded what he had, according to the custom of the naval service, a right to demand. A written order before he would only obey the command. For this, he was put under arrest, tried by a naval court-martial, sentenced to 15 years imprisonment, and forever debarred from serving the king. And granted, this is 1700s, but regardless, just for the fun of human observation. So all he did was he questioned, doubting the legality of an order before he was going to arrest another officer. Maybe he didn't think the other officer should be arrested. And so he wanted to know who was demanding it and requested a written, so he was put in prison for 15 years just for questioning and forever debarred from serving the king. He was sent to England to be imprisoned, but was released by order of the Privy Council in 1746. He brought an action before the civil court against the president of the court-martial, Sir Challoner Ogle, and damages of 1,000 euros maybe were awarded him for his legal detention and sentence, and the learned judge informed him that he might also bring his action against any member of the court-martial. Rear Admiral Maine and Captain Renton, who were members of the court that tried him, were at the time when damages were awarded to Lieutenant Fry, sitting on a naval court-martial for the trial of Vice Admiral Lestock. I'm sure I saw one, Mr. Cox. Found one, but it's in Latin. Surfractus ilbiter orbis and pavidum ferient Rene. Page 29, calling out the national forces. So, sir, a nation is not worthy to be saved if in the hour of its fate it will not gather up all its jewels of manhood and life and go down into the conflict, however bloody and doubtful, resolved of measureless ruin over complete success. Suffractus ilbiter orbis in pavidum ferient Rene. Ruinai, something like that. You're welcome. I was hoping to find one in English. We fight to maintain our existence among the nations of the earth and to preserve liberty and union for ourselves and our children's children. Page 29, yeah. Calling out the national forces. I think it is. Enrolling and calling out the national forces, speech delivered in the House of Representatives, June 25th, 1864.
You're welcome.
Your awareness and acknowledgement holds a lot more weight than you think. Sometimes when there's not a big crowd behind you cheering you on, and the druggies and idiots around you are patting you on the back to hate the good forces. I know, they just want to take the T-bird away or something. Silly. Who knows, really? Every situation, I guess, has its own vices and motives. Sure. Temptations, beliefs, expectations. Yeah, when you think this, and this, if this were true, well then this, and this. So it's just an understanding. And that's why we try to bring understanding with other similar situations. Yeah, chop shop is brought up a lot when you understand chop shop situations and process and procedure and how things work and all the extenuating and sideshows and things like that. Yeah, that's life. You gotta try to get through the noise the best you can and hope to not get killed or have your children put in the custody of sick, murderous pedophiles who make child and animal pornography and feed it to activist groups, places like Florida, Texas, Epstein Island. You start to understand the nonsense, and then you start to understand the frustration of people who understand those things when they see idiots in our mainstream getting paid millions of dollars and all they do is put on a show and make it their own little soap opera and playground, and they're still doing that, and it's disgusting. But thankfully good people are showing that, and all you can do is hope and pray people use their common sense and start putting the funding, awareness towards the right things in society. Yeah, humans. Yeah, it's a good idea. Yeah, when you have many people that don't seem to understand basic human functioning, and they want to protect drugs and dogs before people, just only certain ones though, right? Okay, so that's evil, so that exists, so we're trying to stop that. And as you can see, we have people very much doing that, and they're justifying sick ignorance, displays of horrific antagonism, rioting, profanity. It's horrible. Well, I mean, there's stuff that is profane. You have many senses, right? It can be profane to the ears. It can be profanely spoken. It can be profanely performed. It can be, I mean, whatever you want to take that to. So, right, of course, well, I would much prefer to be taught by that person than this person, and when you're just basing that solely off of whatever characteristics or ideology, I mean, many it's not even in their realm of thought. Yeah, no, they're brought up in worlds where they don't have to think about those things or worry about what's being done with funding and public assistance and school systems and healthcare. They don't have to deal with any of that. No, that's all done for them. I know something is doing it, I guess. There must be people making sure those things are on the up and up. Right, exactly. And if you do this, this, and this, you'll be granted. Right, and if you're not granted what you want,
someone's not holding up to their part of the bargain, made you false promises, false sense of security. Right, but as long as you're living the life, all the bills are paid, you got money in the bank, who cares? Who cares what's happening in the back of the chop shop or the island, or who cares? Who cares if you're giving money to a bunch of rotten, nasty, horrible salespeople pulling the wool over your eyes? I know, and then we have, it dwindles down. I know, it's like, my goodness. Yeah, we have sickos in our community that love these kind of situations and communities where there's a lot of riffs and histories and Hatfield McCoy situations, and they can just worm their way in to all these investigations, the drug investigations. It's not a coincidence, and that's why we bring it up. It's nothing personal. People want to fucking take it personally and act as though we're talking about their business. It's like, no, it's very simple. The private investigator in 2009, years after we had encountered a lot of harassment with the vaccines and the main parent federation, Hitler's bringing the ASPCA into the parent federation. No, this is for people, not dogs, or your place to promote and push medication. It's very sick and disgusting what they were doing and ignoring. And we called them out for it in 2008. And we did not vaccinate our second son in August of 2009 after what we had been through with our first son, which was very traumatizing with the whole Lyme disease debacle. It was a bacterial overload, okay? And we were already damaged from a youthful hood of early alcoholism, drug use, brain trauma, accidents, spinal injuries, concussions up the asshole, probably daily, for a while. Yeah, a lot of our teen years are like a blackout, OUIs, it's horrible. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, that was in the 90s. We were born in 1982, and we were put on the programs in the year 2000 when we were 18, the rehab training and surveillance programs. Yeah, so a lot of stuff was going on around that time, if you like to do timeline type things. Right, so in 2009, someone gives me this in December. After the private investigator, he had shot himself in September of that year, trying to tell my parents about the investigators again coming at us using my brother's history. Timothy Saunier, I mean, you listen to this, it sounds horrible, and he needs to be incarcerated to protect our communities and our families from his drug trafficking. He has an extensive history. We're talking about Lewis did, going back to 1993. Yeah, so whatever, trafficking. There are other articles people were showing me how the headline read, part of the Mexican-Italian cartel. Right, so as you can see, when you have investigators coming in and the history, and they're showing them statements from my parents that piss them the fuck off, and we try to tell them, knock it off. We'll say what we want. I know you will. I know. Go ahead. It's right. Our people fought for you to have your freedom of speech. Go ahead. At least you're speaking out and helping to promote peace and love and harmony, and not throw fuel on the fire in these communities which are havocked and plagued with drugs and trafficking and investigations, which we usually get the right, exactly. So a lot of people are aware of that, and they try to protect those entities that might become victims from all these vulnerabilities from that. I think even he understands that. I know. He's just like, I know, right? How many times are we gonna say it? He just walked off like a robot, like this. Yeah, man. What's going on? I know, see, he hears that subject being talked about. He's just like, someone make it stop. You know, we got 4 children here. He's my only child. I did not vaccinate in 2009. Yeah, that's the one they were flipping out about. Isn't it interesting? He's the only one. He's my only child out of 4, not completely autistic, if that's politically correct. Yeah, so my youngest 2 are in the hands of a sick pedophile who knew I was predisposed. Yeah, they're very smart, calculated, sick motherfuckers. So he came up out of a prison system, being part of a chop shop with the catalytic converter dust. Yeah, some horrible suicides and murders associated to him and some of his family members. I think one of his cousins went to prison for a murder too. People injecting each other in the bars and stuff. So that was back, yeah, 2005, 8, yeah. Those were the ones down south, North Carolina area, which they have connected to the ones up in Canada, connected to the fucking goons here. And the activists who give those idiots a lot of money to protect them from the goons, and then the goons teach us a lesson, and they think I'm telling you, just like if you as officers and cops understand how some of these guys have set you up, putting you in horrible, dangerous situations with crazy people and leaving loaded guns around, right? Telling them their sons are going to be serial killers, and yeah, okay. So when you understand that, and then they make a call and get you on the scene with some crazy people leaving a loaded gun around, if you're not aware as to how that's setting up police officers to be totally ambushed, right? So we're well aware of that. Okay, so what happened? Right, we had to make the rabbit some carrot soup. We were pregnant too, by the way, for our first son, Devin. So, and we're still traumatized, but what had happened in 2009 with the private investigator. So this was 2011 now that they're doing this, and they get the cops there. Right, I got pregnant really quick too, didn't I? I don't even remember how that happened. You'd think I'd remember something like that, you know? I mean, it was growing inside of me. It's documented. I had them. Interesting. And then I get pregnant for our daughter very quickly too. Again, I don't remember that. I had a foot surgery. He beat up his other kid in the tub, lost use of an arm for 3 months. This is crazy. I don't even, how'd I have 2 babies? All of this happening. Right, and then they vaccinated him behind my back in 2013. We're watching and listening to all this. Higher ups are freaking out. No, they were literally like done. They quit. They moved away. Bye. They're like, fuck this, I'm firing myself. I'm like, well then I'm going rogue. From what, Mary? You don't work for anyone. Well, I'm not going to take care of myself anymore then, right? Do you get it? See, when we're put on those programs, that's the whole idea of the program. You mind your fucking business, you stay out of the fucking way, you speak when you're spoken to. No, just kidding. No, you learn a common, decent respect to public safety, how to respect each other, especially law enforcement. There's a camaraderie respect, you know, if some freaking weirdo walks up to you on the street and says, hey, what are you doing? Can I talk to you for a second? Can I get your name? None of your fucking business, man. I mean, you can say that if you want, but if it's an officer, I mean, you don't have to, actually. I guess there's certain laws where you can be a dickhead. But we learn, you know, just out of common respect that sometimes they might be asking you for any reason. They might have just gotten a call. You fit the description of somebody. You should want to make sure. Yeah, no, I'm not associated if somebody was called in, any kind of robbery, someone with a gun. Right, why give them reason to suspect you for what was just called in by acting like a dickhead and not giving them your name? Well, now they're even more suspicious. You fit the description and you don't want to give them your name. Well, now we got a fucking problem, don't we? And go ahead, you keep walking, dude. We'll keep an eye on you. We got facial recognition. We got all your information right here, but just your behavior is totally telltale, you know? Anyways, I mean, when you know, and when you know what foul play is, and what's totally against basic human safety, totally not kosher, not okay. Yeah, just, that's not okay. Yeah, no good forces here in America would okay that. So there must be some bad forces. Yeah, a lot of people I think have been trying to explain that ever since, the dudes hit the towers. Yeah, like the goons and the druggies associated to the activists, associated to the dangerous people. It's like clockwork if you don't get it. Hello? And so I think a lot of people have been trying to explain that. A lot of journalists were killed trying to, yeah, there's a whole room behind me. There's a lot of people. I'm trying to make sure they feel part of the conversation. Is that okay? Do you hear what I'm fucking talking about? Why are you concerned about my body movements? Because I'm not talking about anything you can't just fucking fact check. So regardless of how fucking crazy I am, right, if I'm like, the redcoats are coming! I mean, you can use your common sense. I'm probably not going to really check into that. Such a crazy, crazy girl. Thing. It. Swamp thing. You fucking swamp hermit piece of shit. Thank you. Mm-hmm. All day long, motherfucker. Ain't no skin off our teeth, or our back, or our knees. Oh yeah? Lovely. Hopefully, we're hoping other people realize that. The awareness, your awareness, acknowledgement of the facts, shine a light on these situations, producers of child and animal pornography, abusing young children that can't talk, killing innocent mentally ill people, or dangerous, guilty, mentally ill people. Okay, either way, they're still fucking the kids, whether it's from a fucking horrible person that deserved to be killed, or an innocent, mentally ill retard with a big mouth who people really hate and want to teach a lesson to for uncovering a lot of their bullshit. Yeah, we've shut down a lot of businesses actually too over the years. Yeah, when they're doing dirty things, it's like an example. Yeah, Apex Marketing was right around the time of the fundraising company In and Out there. That was a different company. That was, what's his name, that asshole. He was married to what was his name? Steve something. He was married to that Philippine woman. They lived over by St. Mary's. Yeah, his license plate said, "I call you." I know. He had such a freaking... I mean, talk about a slickster. I mean, my goodness. Wow. Fast talking motherfucker. But yeah, so a lot of the idiots that worked for him... No, he was a good guy. Nothing wrong with him. Some of the idiots that worked for him... I know, remember they got pissed off too because they were all complaining one day they weren't getting any sales. No, I didn't work there. I know, so I went in and I took one call and I went deep with this person, like deep. They kept saying no and I kept bringing them back. And then I got the sale. I sold them like $100, whatever. Was it airtime? I can't remember what they were selling. But yeah, so anyways, yeah, they got pissed. Because they were all complaining they couldn't sell anything. So I went in and just made one call, took one call that came in. Just a random call, that came in. Went deep with them, kept going deep, showing them how to keep people on the phone. If they rebut you, just read the script, man. Just fucking read the script. But it helps if you can kind of get a little personal, make a connection. They like to call it establishing a rapport with people. It has a T on the end, but you don't pronounce it. Rapport. You want to establish a Rappaport. Yeah, this was the early 2000s. But yeah, anyway, that place burned down. That was up on the avenue, yeah. But some of the workers from there, wicked druggies. Yeah, some of them, they pulled something funny with someone's credit cards out of state. People, well, these were calls coming in from other places in the country. Usually these call centers, they open up in little office spaces. That Apex one, they opened that up in his dad's chicken barn with some dude from Hawaii. Yeah, they're all very cool people. They make money, they sweep through town, they move out. And then people pissed off about the scams they pull come looking for them here. They're gone. When we try to say, okay, because we're aware, then you just look like a guilty party because, you smelt it, you dealt it. You're like, motherfucker, back the fuck up. I know. You're pissed off. They put an extra zero and they took off 1,000 instead of 100. Or 10,000 instead of 1,000. They did that to someone. That dude showed up from fucking Oregon, came trying to bust down their frickin' apartment door. They lived over in the Fishbowl Apartments over on New England Ave, yeah, where Nana used to live. Oh man, I know, right? When you live in the kind of communities we live in, the whole state of Maine is like a big asylum. Yeah, I mean, you can see them coming from miles away. I mean, you can't always prevent murders. Sometimes it happens. Things get out of hand. You just kind of got to let them go at it. Yeah. Loud noises! That was good timing, whoever you are. That was great timing. Go speed racer. I want to be an airborne ranger. I want to live a life of danger. Did that answer those questions? Oh, good. Alright, so we'll be back on a little later. Oh yeah, this isn't even live, is it? We're at 42 minutes and 30 seconds. The other one was 42 minutes too, huh? It must be a comfortable space. It could change at any moment. Things are subject to change at any moment. Hopefully. We're making some rice. Alright, yeah, I'll do a quick one from there. Alright, page 72. The development which we find in theology and nowhere else combines two things: the work of men's minds, the overruling protection of God. In theology, as in science, progress comes by the minds of men working on what they have been taught. But left to themselves, men may simply make further mistakes. In science, they do so. In the teaching of the church, they do not. And the reason is that God intervenes to prevent the teaching of error by his church. God's actions, whether revelation or sacrament or miracle, are never labor-saving devices. God does not do them to save man. God does not do them to save men the trouble of doing what they can very well do for themselves. In Revelation, for instance, God teaches men what they cannot do. God teaches men what they could not, at any rate, could not with absolute sureness find out for themselves. But having given them that, he leads it to them to meditate upon it and arrive at a clearer understanding of it. He does not do their thinking for them. That's a good space to check out on. We'll be back later. It is 4:15 here. Okay, thank you. Much love, health, and peace be with you, and also with you. Is it? Yeah, I know. Sometimes the lighting, certain times of day, I know depending, can make your complexion look really different. You know what I was thinking if someone wanted